All right, Alec, how are we doing?
Hanging in there, doing
I
okay.
mean, how long has it been? Like a month since we watched an episode.
Probably
We've been
might even be
keeping
longer.
a very
We're keeping,
consistent schedule.
yeah, like we were planning on doing.
We've made it. We've not made it to the third way through yet. We're not there yet.
We're not even close. It
So last episode was an interesting one, though. Um, the
yeah. You could say that again.
It was an interesting one. It was the big Ganya Ted altercation that kind of loomed large over the whole episode.
Oh yeah,
In fact, I'm trying to even remember the name of the person who got voted out.
yeah. I honestly don't remember. I just remember that happening. It was like, wow, this is what the whole episode's going to be about, huh?
It was a
Yeah.
sick woman, right? She was just like sickly and contributed
Oh yeah, yeah,
nothing.
yeah. It was the yeah. That's right. It was the we feel bad for her, so let's get her out of here. I think. I think that's what happened. I was supposed to be writing stuff down. I don't know if I actually did or not.
I don't know
Did I
what
write anything
happened in my
down?
note.
I had notes at one point. Oh, I had. Okay, here we go. I have Survivor from the second episode of season 5. There's weird vibes on both tribes.
That's all.
That's all. That's the only that I have weird vibes on both tribes. That's pretty great. I didn't have anything for the third
Okay,
episode, which I should.
we'll probably see on the previously. They'll be like, also, this woman got voted out.
Yeah, they will. They'll show that. Tensions were high.
But
They had should they
oh
better
no,
say
it
that.
was Jed. It was Jed, wasn't it?
Jed didn't get it. Yeah, that's right. Because they wanted to stop me from talking about how Jed getting his family fed.
Like, you
They
really
wanted me-
forgot. It was the sickly
Yeah.
woman was the episode before. That was even
Right.
further.
Yeah, that was 5-2. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got rid of Jed because they literally threw the competition so that they get rid of him. Or-
Wait, what competition was that?
It was it was like a puzzle. It was like a puzzle that they had to solve. Right? So and all the women on the tribe were basically just like, we don't know what to do. In other words, they were like, you guys figure it out, and they just like didn't even help them. It was great.
And then Jed had to go out on a big Ted Ganya episode. That was his episode for being voted out.
Good
Great
old
way
yeah.
to go.
Great way to go, Jed.
But
I couldn't remember you. All my terrible Beverly Hillbillies, totally timely references
Mhm.
to our audience. Everybody knows who they are.
Mhm.
So
So moving into this episode, we're gonna obviously, I mean, the Ted and Ganya thing, you can imagine will have lasting ramifications.
I'm kind of hoping it's not for the whole season, but it's gonna be for the whole season.
Every
Like,
episode,
that's well,
they're
it's
talking about it.
yeah. Well, one way or another, it's going to affect how the season plays out.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I think. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be fun, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, this is the harsh social experiment that is Survivor.
Yeah, this is definitely you
You,
got that right.
you put the wrong people together in the wrong ways, this is what happens.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into the episode. So you can check out the link in the description to see the reaction segment and come back and we'll talk about it. All right.
Woo!
Okay, well, that was episode number 4, and of course, we could not escape the Ted and Gandhi trauma, and in fact, the ramifications were sooner than we expected.
Yep, they were. I didn't necessarily think that she was going to be gone already, or the fact that one of her own people that she was trying to have help her was just like, nah, I'm going to vote you out.
So,
So
what we have here is we have the gender division and the it just doesn't feel right, like this whole episode you see like kind of not okay comments from all the men,
Yep.
and then it's
Yep.
like men versus women. Men win because the one woman jumped ship, and that was Helen. So I mean, if you're considering, just thinking about it, it's like she was a victim and she got ostracized for it, and then she got voted off
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah. Optically, it looks terrible. I mean, here's the thing. It's like if it had happened to a guy the same way, it would have felt just as awful.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, like,
If it was Ted, I don't know if it would feel as awful, but so,
well, how do you? No, no, no. What I mean is that like if Ted was like a victim
mm-hmm.
somehow,
Oh,
like
yeah.
if there was someone that took advantage of Ted, and then Ted got voted off, and then yeah, and then it's just like it's so. Here's the okay. So here's what I was thinking. Like at the end of the episode, it's like even if like Ganya was like blowing it way out of proportion, quote unquote. Even if she was like, even if she made the whole thing up, it's still like you still have to like try to give the benefit of the doubt to somebody who, because it's hard. It's such a hard topic to navigate around, because it's like you're dealing with like power dynamics and people taking advantage of someone else in a way that's like, traumatic. So it's like you can't just immediately dismiss it, and you can't obviously just. I mean, you can, I guess, but you shouldn't just immediately assume either side until you have. I don't know. It's like this is the tough thing about this discussion, right? It's like you can't just take a side like that quickly, but like at the same time you also can't. You have to give some credence to somebody who has been victimized, or at least is claiming to have been victimized. You have to hear them out in some form or another.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they've made it up, which is awful, because I think that just does a terrible disservice to the people who have dealt with that. But like you have to, just because you don't want to, you shouldn't even come close to like getting something like that wrong. So like the only, yeah. I don't know. It's obviously it's such a complicated discussion, and it's not like,
I mean, yeah.
not like we can really. It's not like we can really go into all the nuances of it here on a Survivor discussion episode.
And it's rough because all the men sided with the guy, all the women sided with the woman, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's clear that they all had their preconceived notions. Clay literally said he didn't like her from the moment he saw her, which is, I mean, that's all I need to hear.
That's kind of like, okay, well, you automatically just don't believe her then. Yeah.
So, I mean, and he clearly didn't even care. He didn't even entertain the idea. He was like, she should just suck it up. And
yeah, bye Denver Diva. Like, like
Yeah.
what? You should have been like, that's horrible. Like, oh, that's what I was saying. Like, that's horrible. Even if she made it up, it's horrible to like point the finger at somebody who has said, "Hey, I do actually have trauma in my past," which I do not doubt her that for a second. And
yeah.
like, even if you're not gonna necessarily believe her on this one, it's like show some respect, for crying out loud. You don't just make up a stupid nickname for somebody. That's horrible. That's just horrible. I can't believe you did that. Clay needs to go.
Yeah. And so it all comes down to that decision by Helen to ultimately flip there. And I mean, you got to consider the weight, even if you take out the social implications. It's like, if you look at the game, if you go to a tie, do you remember what the rules were exactly for the last rock draw?
I don't remember. I think that, like, well, here's the thing: is they've changed how this works every time. There was like random silly question.
Well, that's right.
Like,
I didn't want to get mixed up with like another season later down the line.
Well, they said a rock draw, so I would assume that meant that both people just randomly you both pick a stone from a bag, and then whoever whoever has the one that votes them out votes them out. So it's all random. It's all 50-50. It's all like a flip of a coin, basically.
Yeah, but it was not quite that simple though. Let me see.
Was it? Was it more complicated than that?
Okay, so the way it was done in more cases was there was a tie, so everybody who didn't have immunity had to draw a rock, and if you had the purple rock, you got voted out, which ultimately ended with Pascal, who was not voted on at all, getting
Right.
sent home.
Right.
So if you think of it that way, Helen's got a 1 in. Well, actually, that was at the point where it was individual. They had individual immunity, so then everybody would be up for grabs.
Right. Right.
So it would be a 1 in 6 chance of potentially going home from forcing a tie. Whereas she took the safer option and like gonna put the women at a disadvantage moving forward, but guaranteed that she wasn't the 1 in 6.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think of that decision? You think that's the better one to make?
Well, I think she's holding out for a that the tribe will be able to make it through to the merge.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I bet she feels that she probably has a better advantage once the merge happens. I think she's playing. She's hedging her bets on the merge. I think is what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Giving herself a chance for the merge.
And she
but
seems to have more of an in with the men than the other women do. So she'll have a little bit of a safety net there. It seems.
Yeah, she kind of seems to like want to put up with their stuff, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or pretends, not like wants to put up with it, but she's like more willing to put up with.
So like if they go to tribal council again, she probably assumes they'll at least vote out Jan before her, so that's another round safe.
Yeah.
But if they can win immunity, that's another, and then they'll push them closer to merge.
Right, exactly.
So it's like she's thinking long game, whereas like if you make
yeah.
the risk of going to a tie, you might end up with the women in with the advantage, but that's still a maybe. It still could have ended up being a woman getting voted out, and that would also make her vulnerable. So it's like it's hard to make that risk.
Yeah. Strategically, I don't know. I don't even know what I would have done. I feel like it's hard to say, really. I mean, I think there's benefits to doing both, because I think with the way she voted, she is protecting herself a little more. I think she's not just leaving it up to chance. She's kind of having more control of the situation in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
But yeah, it is still weird that the victim was sent like that.
It's weird. It is. It's just such a weird. It's such a weird season so far. I don't know, man. It's very bizarre.
And so Ted's probably going to be free of any consequences now. He's just going to be able to move on forward with his game.
Yeah, man. This is one thing where it's like, man, they better address this in some capacity on the
reunion.
Yeah.
But
it's gotta be.
They're gonna make it awkward though. It's gonna be like they're gonna be like, Ted and Ganya, did you make up? Did you guys?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Ganya, did you forgive Ted?
I hope they.
Please tell me you forgive Ted.
I hope they don't. I hope they don't get that simplistic with it. That would be disgusting. But I don't know. This is what 2003. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Right.
2004, 2003, something like that.
Anything else in this episode that kind of overcasts everything else? It seems, but
yeah, I mean that's kind of how it goes. But
the puzzle challenge was cool.
That was very cool. I really like that challenge a lot. It was using brain power.
Did we hear any of the drama on the other tribe? I guess it was just Stephanie being annoying.
Stephanie being like weird and like standoffish and bizarre. That was kind of the whole thing, pretty much. And then they were all really happy with food, bananas and chickens.
Yeah, they really didn't have much drama going on. There's like, we can't show this when we have this Ted and Gandhi situation going on over here.
Yeah, it's true. It's like it's way too easy to be this one-sided on it, because it really is kind of. it's like a train. It's like a train wreck that you can't look away from. You know, it's like one of those things. It's like the audience has to keep watching this because it's like it's so uncomfortable. It's so awful, but it's like we also it's interesting because of that.
I mean, if the other tribe was going to tribal council, maybe it would be interesting. It's like Stephanie's on the outs, but they could be like, oh, she's a stronger competitor. Maybe vote someone else off.
Yeah, the episode probably would have been framed differently.
Yeah,
if that was the case. Yeah,
but it's like it would have been a harder story to tell for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But so yeah, we'll see you next time on the next episode of Survivor Thailand, probably next week.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a happier story.
Oh, well,
this whole season.
Now we can just act like it never happened. And
that's right. Isn't that how we're supposed to do it?
Well,
right?
good. I love Ted. Ted is a funny, wacky character.
Ted Bundy is a happy-go-lucky man.
Ted? Teds are always trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Do you know my older brother, when he was a little kid, wanted to name me Ted? I'm kind of glad I'm not named Ted now, just because of him. Not because of Ted Bundy, because of this guy.
This guy. Disgrace to Teds everywhere.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it, feel free to check out our review of Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Terrible.
See, that's why I did it. That's why I because I knew we had to throw that in somehow.
That's the review I reference every episode.
No fail.
Right. Thank you for watching, and let's keep it. Don't touch. All right.
Yeah. Don't
don't touch.
don't.